We're out here working in the shop. We're gonna go cut some wood tomorrow. Thought I'd touch up the saw, give a little lesson on how to file a chainsaw. It's not as hard as what a lot of people think. You know, like a lot of people just take it to the saw shop and have them do it these days. I've been doing it a long time, so it comes pretty easy. It's not that hard to do. If you know a couple things about the chain, you can touch your saw up at home without having to take the chain off and take it to the saw shop and go through all that trouble. So you don't have to be perfect at this, and it'll still cut pretty good. This is a tooth, obviously. You can see how this one's kind of beat up here on top. The one thing you always want to do is make sure that this is nice and straight when your file sits in here. So when you're filing, you do not want to go like this at the end. When you're pushing it through and you turn it towards the end, that makes that very tip round. This needs to be as sharply pointed as possible, and that's pretty much the most important part. You want to hold your file down to where you're just above the chain and it fits in this little groove. So if you hold your file way up, this upper part will be thicker and it won't cut as good. If you hold it down too far, it'll get real thin and this edge will break off. So you got to be in the middle there. Most chains, you can see the file where it'll sit in here. It's round. So if you're even close to that, it's going to cut pretty good. You can see how this is all bent over and it's been mangled a little bit. We're going to clean all that up real quick and we'll go through this chain. These are your rakers. These are also important too. You can see how mine is filed down. It's kind of flat here. So I've taken that off. This is your depth gauge for how much this tooth is going to cut. So knowing these few things, this would helps explain how this works. The more you take this down, the more this is going to cut. So if you take this down too far, it's going to get real bitey and jump all over the place, and you won't like that at all. This is a professional chain. It's called a skip tooth. You're probably going to have a tooth here and here. That's a full comp. There's a semi-skip where there's one, skips one, then there's one here. I like these ones. They're quick to sharpen. They don't stay sharp as long because they don't have as many teeth. But I don't care. They bite real good. This is a good chain. I like these skip tooth chains. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and file these teeth out, and I'll show you how to do this. If you want to take these down, you just take a bastard file, and when I get a new chain, I take 3 strokes off of it before I even start. I don't even bother with it because it's not going to cut good enough for me. I want it to hog in. All right, so I'll get the other camera going and we will start filing this. Hopefully we can get a good shot at it for you. So you want to hold your file level and you push forward, and I like to drag it back against the raker and then come back, and you can get a nice fluid motion. You want to keep that file as straight as you can. Make sure that you don't do this at the end, because then that tip won't be there. And that is what starts the cut, and this finishes it. So if that little tip is not sharp, that's the keys to the car, is having that just a sharp, I mean, it will cut your fingers. So you make sure and hold your file up far enough, and you just want to clean that tooth up, and you can see how nice that is. This 100% is taking that dull edge off pretty quickly. You should go all the same strokes, but it really isn't going to matter. For the general homeowner doing this, you know, the chain gets half wore out, you're probably going to throw it away because it gets harder to sharpen as you do that. I'm going to do probably 6 to 7, I guess, is what I'm doing. Maybe 8. I'm watching every one of those teeth. We're just going to do this all the way around the saw. Every tooth. Make sure it looks just like it did when you got it. That file pretty much rests right in that gullet, and it's not that hard to do. I'm pushing towards the saw a little bit to make the file bite. But like I said, you can't do this. That's what'll get you, is rolling that over at the end is why the saw won't cut when you file it. So putting it in a vise like this makes it really easy. It does take a lot more practice to do it on a tree stump or your tailgate or wherever you're at when you're out in the woods, but you can still do it. can see the shavings coming off. You want to watch from getting those in your eyes. I've done that lots of times. Let me get a close-up of this. You can tell how sharp that is. We just turned the saw around the other way, and now we're going to file the other side. It's the same thing basically. You just turned the saw around the other way. We just did these ones, and now we're going to do these ones, so you need to stand on that side of them. So same thing. This is not too ready to pull this file into you. This side of the chain's not beat up near as bad as that other one, but I still need to take 7 or 8 off of it because that's what we did to the other side. Remember to try to follow this. If your chain has this guide on it, that's about what the angle needs to be. So you can see it there. I'm pretty close. Like I said, close enough. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it will still cut good. Should do an experiment sometime and angle some of these odd ways and not get them even close, and I bet you would still cut pretty good. But if you can keep them all the same and keep that height right, this doesn't take very long once you get good at it. And honestly, all it is knowing what you're looking at. So when you do it, you know what you want it to look like. If you don't know what it's supposed to look like, it's pretty hard to file it and get it right. If you got to take a picture of your chain when you first get it and it's brand new, to have an idea of what it should look like, maybe that would help. Like I said, obviously over the years, I know what it's supposed to look like, so I'm guiding it through that as I do this. But at 10, 12 bucks a time to sharpen, have somebody else sharpen them, and you can just do it yourself, I'm done. There's my mark. Here's where I started. That chain is sharp, and we're ready to go. We could head out, and this thing is going to cut just like it was brand new, maybe even better. You know, as the tooth kerf gets smaller, so the more times you file this, the smaller this gets, so it actually gets skinnier. So you're not cutting as much wood. Now when you get it small enough that it won't cut the width of the bar anymore, then you end up, that's part of the reason why I won't cut. So when your tooth gets about half gone or more, and you're not filing it quite right, you know, and it might run like this in the piece of wood, and then it's going to bind the bar, and that's why it won't cut. It's important to have a nice bar that doesn't have, you know, you'll get a burr right here on the edge from the chain, and that'll hang up, and that could be what your problem is. Bars don't last forever, so they need to be replaced. This is a Canon. These are really expensive, and you don't need one of these. They're super heavy, but they're made of high carbon steel, so they last a really long time. That's why I like them. And I don't mind the weight. I don't pack this thing around the woods that much anymore. I'm usually cutting firewood or doing something with it, so not too big a deal. Anyways, I hope that this video will help you at least give a shot at filing your chain. Make sure you get the right size file. There's a diagram on your bar right here that tells you what it is. So if you go to your saw shop, you can tell them what you have, and they can get you the proper file. Obviously, you're buying a chain there, they'll give you one anyways. Always use a new file. They wear out too. They get plugged up with the filings, and then they don't bite very good, and then when you're trying to file, that will go, you know, around like that real easy because you're trying to push hard instead of just having the file cut. So it's very important to make sure you have a good file. That'll help you out a lot. And then if your bar isn't, you know, wore out real bad, that's part of it too. And you'll be able to file this chain probably halfway out without having any issue. I hope this helps everyone out, and if you like the video, that'd be great. We'll make you some more. All right, I'm out.